right. Hi, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. But to go ahead, if you could go ahead and click on the Nearpod link in the chat box, we can go ahead and start working.
All right, everybody, good evening. I know if you are anything like me, you're very exhausted from this COVID teaching that we're all having to do right now. So I'm going to try and keep things moving pretty quickly tonight and get us out of here on time, or maybe even a little bit early. My name is Megan James, and I'm so happy to have you here to learn a little bit about some resources for teaching about investing in the stock market. I am going to throw a ton of resources at you tonight, just because I know for me, I like to walk away from a workshop with something I can use tomorrow. And I have some things in here that you can use right away that we'll get started on. So just to start out, tell you a little bit about me. I teach middle school math at Mason Prep, which is a little K-8 school down in Charleston. Prior to that, I've taught in public school here in South Carolina and also in Seattle, Washington. I've also taught language arts and social studies and reading all throughout my career. So I've always been a hardcore middle school person. So it's been easy to bring through this through all that. I'm a South Carolina financial literacy master teacher and a South Carolina independent school master teacher. I have my master's in teaching from Seattle University, and I'm also a marathoner. And if you know anybody who runs marathons, you know that they'll tell you that any chance they get. So I will tell you that I just ran my 7th marathon virtually this year, now that life is so different. And just to get us started here, I've got a link here that's, if you'd like to click onto this will get you to all the links that we're using tonight. So going through Nearpod, some of these, it has the links embedded right into it. And some of this is stuff that you can kind of click through at your own leisure. I like to have everything kind of all organized in one place. So if you want to take this link, it's there for you. And you can use these as you'd like to. Our objectives, we're going to look at some different types of investments and also look at how to use the stock market game as a way to teach about investing in stocks and mutual funds. And here's our South Carolina standards. I am a math teacher, so I tend to work this into my math regular curriculum, and then also sometimes in a special elective, but you can do that through all kinds of different classes. So first up here, I'd love to just get an idea of who we're talking with here. So if you could just type into the Nearpod here, tell us, where do you teach, what grades, what classes do you teach, and what context are you in right now? Are you virtual? Are you in person? Are you a little bit of both? So just give me an idea of how are you doing. So take a quick minute to introduce yourself in the Nearpod here. And I will post that link again. And you can type directly into this Nearpod. It'll pop it up for everybody to see, or you can put it in the chat. That works too. All right, so we have a good mix of virtual and face-to-face, and a little bit of everything. We have some elementary, some middle, some high school. Great, little bit of everything. Fabulous. All right, and like I said, my classes are mostly face-to-face. In each one of my classes, my students are able to opt to be virtual. And some of them have opted for that for the whole year so far. Some have kind of gone in and out. We also have kids who, anytime if they have the sniffles or are going to visit grandparents or anything like that, can hop out and be virtual. So we're in a very flexible situation at my school. So we'll be looking at activities that work for both of those. Next question here is a poll. A lot of the resources we'll look at tonight come from Next Generation Personal Finance, and I just want to see how familiar are you with Next Generation Personal Finance, so we know what we're working with. All right, so we have a lot of us who haven't used it or have heard of it just a little bit. Okay, good. So a lot of you, this will be a great introduction to a really, really good resource. If you haven't used it before, I highly recommend sign yourself up for an account. Their professional development is great. Their curriculum is great. There's just so much there for all of us to work with. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to do tonight, we're going to be talking about why to teach about investing, then a little bit about investing for retirement, stocks, mutual funds, and index funds, and then also how to work with the stock market game here. All right, so now we're going to jump into a quick Kahoot, and this is just something that I like to do with my classes in order to kind of get some interest going, is to get them thinking about Kahoots and giving them oops, I'm going to try and share my screen as I'm talking here. I'm not quite great at that. If you want to go ahead and log into this Kahoot right here, I'm just going to throw some questions here at you. That these are all modeled after questions of the day from Next Generation Personal Finance, which are great discussion starters and reviews of different content. So if you can go ahead and open up another tab and log into this Kahoot, we'll see how fresh your investing knowledge is so far. Not that one, this one. And those of us who have used Kahoot before, you know that it's a great way to pre-assess, post-assess, just get kids interested. There's all kinds of, it's a great learning tool, especially if you're doing a little bit virtual and a little bit in person. It works well both ways. Right now, when I have my kids who are home at virtual, always seem to be much faster than my kids in class on Kahoot. And so they love feeling like they have the upper hand there. All right, and give about 10 more seconds to log in, and we'll go ahead and get started, see how we're doing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start here. All right, so how much would I need to save monthly to have $1 million when I retire, assuming that's in 40 years, which would mean I'm working until I'm very, very old. I don't know how I feel about that.
Hey Megan, do you mind oh, I'm sorry, the pin is in the corner. Never mind. I'm gonna put that in the chat.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. I had it as a Nearpod link, but it expired. All right, so only $213 a month in order to save up to have $1 million when you retire. That's a great great question to get kids thinking. And this graphic actually comes out of a retirement calculator. I covered up the part that said it's only $213 a month, but great way to get kids thinking. That doesn't sound like a lot to get you to $1 million. All right, next question here. Good job, Abby. Abby's in the lead. See if you can catch her. If you invested $10,000 in Netflix 10 years ago, what would it be worth today? All right, very nice. 200,000. When I made this about 2 weeks ago, it was actually 213,000. When I checked it today, it was back down to 200,000 though. So not bad though for a 10-year investment. I'd take that rate of return any day. All right, CP's taking the lead. Very close on a couple of you there. Very nice. All right. Only a few of us got that one. So only 49% are contributing to a retirement plan offered by their employer. I would want to look deeper into this question to know, is that how 49% of all people, or of people who are offered that option? That would be a good discussion to have with students. All right. Ooh, we've got some answer streaks here. Looking good, guys. See if you can catch CP on this next one. Which company performed better in its first 2 years as a public company, Snap or Facebook? So Snap had their big IPO a few years back. That was very interesting to my students when it came out. I asked them today if they're still using it, and they said, yeah, but TikTok's a little better. All right, and a lot of us were good on there. Oh, we were kind of 50-50. I would say, looking at the chart here, I covered this up. This top one is Facebook, where it's had much bigger gains over that amount of time. All right, last chance for a shot of redemption. See if anybody can catch CP. Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, which company's stock has performed better over the past 5 years? All right, and a lot of us got that one, that it was Starbucks. Starbucks has gone flying ahead there. Even though I would say right now things might look a little bit different as our pandemic gets going here, and more things are closing. All right, third place we have Abby. Very nice. Crotty. And CP maintaining that lead. Good job, good job. All right, so a way that I would use this in my classes, these are all questions of the day, just getting students interested from the very beginning, just being able to make those guesses and decide, some of it's a little bit of luck, some of it's background knowledge, but students are very motivated by being able to have that competition. All right, so taking a look at some of these, I'm gonna skip over that one. Getting into introducing investment, as much as the stock market for me is something that students love to jump into right away. One of the more responsible things is to start talking about investing for retirement, because that's something that they can make such a big impact with at a young age, and to have that forward vision of how things are important. Looking at IRAs versus 401ks, two common types of retirement accounts. This infographic that's right here is from Napkin Finance, which is an excellent resource for infographics that there's a link to. There's a link to it here, and then there's also one on that other page. They have kind of these back of the napkin sketches on so many different concepts and ideas. They also have videos that you can use for it as well. But I find with my students that are visual learners, it really lets them kind of boil it down to what's really important. And here it's the comparison of an IRA, an individual retirement account that you manage, that you set up and invest in yourself, versus a 401k, which is your employer-sponsored retirement plan. Both of these have potential for investment growth. Both of them have tax advantages. Both of them build your wealth. It's just whether or not you're in control of those finances. So this is a great way to get them thinking about that. A really great video is linked here that it goes into a little bit more depth of what is a 401k from Wall Street Survivor. I find that as much as I can explain things, having an expert put it all out there for my students is really helpful for them, because they can also go back and watch it over on their own to get a little bit more detail. So this is linked in there for you. The next thing I usually talk to them about is Roth IRAs, because a 401k is going to be great for them once they get their big real career job after college. But Roth IRAs, they can start right away and really start building up towards their future. So with a Roth IRA, they're going to open their own account. They're going to contribute their after-tax money. It grows tax-free, and then you're going to withdraw it tax-free into your retirement. So you've already paid those taxes on it. The benefits is they can withdraw those contributions penalty-free anytime. They can use it for a first-time home purchase, and they have lots of different investment choices. The big difference between a traditional and a Roth IRA: the traditional, you're contributing pre-tax. it's growing tax deferred, and you're gonna pay those taxes when it comes out, as opposed to a Roth IRA. It's after your taxes, it's growing tax free, and then there's no taxes at the end of retirement. So kind of having students know the difference from that, and getting them in that mindset that you're going to contribute as soon as you have a job, so that that wealth can begin to build is one of the most important things. All right, going along with that, this is a link to another video. This is through NGPF, the best apps to save for retirement. This is Yaneli Stevens. She does phenomenal videos that are just quick little bites that really boil things down in student-friendly language that they can see and understand and know what's going on there. So there's a link to that in there for you. And one activity that I really like to do is to let my kids take a look at some of these retirement calculators. So on the next slide here, I'm going to give you a link to the NerdWallet retirement calculator. And I'd like you to open it up and take a look at how you can adjust the settings to get your retirement savings on track, and take a look at some of those other investing in retirement calculators and be looking at how could you use this in your classroom? How would this be helpful for your students? So I'm going to give everybody about 5 minutes to poke around and take a look at this, and then we're going to come back to a collab board to have some ideas of how would you use this in your in your classroom. So I'm going to forward on to the links. If you could open this up and take a few minutes to poke around. Any questions, throw them in the chat. And yes, I can share my screen as well. And so we'll stop and have everybody just have a chance to take a look at what's on there. And if you click this open, you can see the web page and mess around with those calculators, and then we'll all come back together with some ideas of how this could be used in your classroom in all the different ways that we're teaching. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the NerdWallet in here too. I'm going to go ahead and open up that collab board. So if you have some ideas of how you might use that retirement calculator in your classroom, activities that you might do, go ahead and throw those up there. And once they're in, you can go ahead and take a look at what other people have said, and you can hurt the ones that you like. All right, lots of great ideas in here. I agree with having students look up the salaries of jobs they're interested in. I've done that with my students. I try and take away the option of, oh, I'm going to be an NBA player, but make them pick something that doesn't just rely on your looks or your athletic ability, because we all know that those aren't forever. And getting kids to just kind of see the differences and how it makes it go. And the idea of Tamika had on the difference in savings when you start early. Time is the key. I agree 100%. And next up here, we have a really great graphic that helps support that. This comes from one of the NGPF activities that's linked in here. And if you're a math teacher, these kinds of things are just amazing for teaching about compound interest, of looking at the difference between, one of these is just saving between 25 and 35 and that investment total versus the later investments versus the continuous investments, and how much of a difference that makes in the long run. I think that's such a powerful graphic for students to see. We can say start early as much as we want, but being able to give them that data and see visually what's happening really makes quite a big difference. All righty. And just some additional lesson resources that these are linked in for you. And these are full, there's worksheets, there's all kinds of stuff that goes in there, lots of data that you can use that's just plug and play, ready to go, and easy to be customized however you want. So this will come out in the links at the end. All right, so taking a look at the stock market, this is where my students really get excited. They're interested in retirement because they want to have the beach house like grandma does, but the stock market they can look at right now, and it's something that's in the news that they can really pay attention to. And the things that I kind of start with on them is looking at what a stock market really is, that it's not just money buy sell, that it's really a piece of a company, that the actual market is where they're bought and sold, and how that trading is company, and the different kinds of market, that there's a bear market and a bull market, and who that's good for and what happens in each of those things. This is again from that napkin finance, and just kind of going over those basics with kids. They've heard a lot of these terms, but really understanding what it means is a little bit different. And an activity that I love to do with my students is this one called Roll with the Dice. It's a game that they can play. And I am going to put in the chat right now a link for you guys. We're gonna play a game of this right now. And let me get us to the right link. This is a game that is quick and easy, very little prep, easy to do both virtually and in person. I did this afternoon with I had, I think, 12 kids in class and then another 3 at home, and everybody was able to jump right in and participate with it. So I'm throwing in this link. If you can go to this Google Doc and make a copy of it for yourself. And we're going to all play a quick game of Roll with the Market. So I'm going to show you how I would use it with students. This is a great one just to get your students talking and thinking about what's going on. So go ahead and make a copy of that. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go, and I will walk you guys through this first game. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see how I would do this one. All right, Abigail's ready. I think that might be Abby who came in third place. All right, so you can give me a real thumbs up or the Zoom thumbs up, whatever works for you when you're ready to go. A couple more of us are ready here. All right, so I'm going to show you how this works. So when I play this with my students, I either print this out for everyone who's in class, and I share it virtually with the students who are home virtually. I think if I were doing it with an entire virtual class, I'd probably set up a spreadsheet that we could all see where everyone is. Sometimes it's good to know where everyone is, although there are parts of this game where it's good to be a little bit secretive. At the start of this game, everybody's going to start with $100. So everyone's going to start with that. In round one, everybody has 100, and you're going to play 10 rounds. Every round, each person gets to decide whether they're in or out of the market. If you're in, then you're rolling the dice and you're seeing how it goes. If you're out, then you just sit back and you'll get a little bit of money, but not very much. Okay, so usually, and when I played it first, I usually have the whole class decide together. So with my 7th graders today, round one, of course, they're in for the first one. So everybody writes down whether they're in or they're out. And then you're going to start by rolling just one die. And if I were doing this virtually, or if I had my big smart board behind me, I'd have this on virtual dice. But for right now, I'm going to keep it simple because I already have 42 tabs open. Don't want to have another one open. So I'm going to roll my one die here. For this one die, this decides whether we have a bear market or a bull market. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, that's a bear, which means bear down. The market is down. We're losing money. If it's a bull, 3, 4, 5, or 6, that means the market's up and we're gaining money. So I'm going to roll my first one here. I got a 2. Oh man, that means we've got a bear market. We're down. No good. So we're going to type in down. And now I'm going to roll my 3 dice here, and whatever comes out here, this is how much I lose. Okay, so I have a 5 and a 5 and a 2. That means I have 12. So I've lost $12. My ending balance is an 88. So now starting my next round, I'm down at 88. No good. All right, so now on the next one, I would say to my students, all right, what should we do next? And at this point, especially if they've just lost a lot of money, they're like, we're out. We don't want to do anything. So if they decide to stay out, okay, that's out. Still, whoever else is playing would still have this die roll. So this next one doesn't really matter to them. So I'm still going to do it because if there are more people playing, other people who are in, it matters. So it was a 3. Oh, that means it was a bull market. So it's up. I'm missing the up. Now I'm going to see what the 3 dice is. And there's one die, there's one set of dice going for everybody. So my 3 dice, I have a 4, a 3, and a 1. So it was up 8. So I could have made back 8 of my dollars, but I didn't because I sat out. When you're out, you're going to add just +1, which kind of represents interests of a savings account. You're getting just that little bit. So now my ending balance is an 89. Okay, so starting the next round, now I'm down at 89. By then, kids are like, okay, I want to get back in. So I do in, keep going. And you play it as we go till 10 rounds and see how it goes. So everybody get it enough to be ready to play? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to try it. Okay, so please pull up I'm going to clear all these out. And I'm just going to write up here the in or I'm just going to put in the die rolls so that everyone knows where it is. So everybody start with $100. And if you'd like, put in the chat whether you are in or out for round 1. We'll do some check-ins along the way to see how everybody's doing, but tell us whether you're in or out. I'm just going to clear out all my cells here. I'm sure there's a much faster way to do this. There we go. All right, let's see how we're doing. We have, everybody's in. That's good. I like people who are ready to take a risk. All right, so lots of us are in for the first die roll. We have a 1. Oh man, All right, so that means that the market is down. I'm going to do my three dice total. I have a 5 and a 3 and a 1, so it's down 9. So everybody who is in, you're going to be down at 91. If you were out, you're up to 101. So whatever you have as your ending balance here at the end of round 1 is going to go down as your starting balance on round 2. Once you've recorded that, decide whether you are in or out. And if you can just put ready in the chat once you've decided whether you're in or out, we'll keep it secret of who's where. All right, lots of us are ready. Good. All right, next roll, we have a 5. That means our market is up. We've got the bear market. Let's see how good we're doing here. All right, we have a 4, a 6, and a 2. So we are up 12. Update your total and decide for round 3. Are you in or are you out? When you're ready, put ready into the chat. You can decide if you want to tell us if you're in or out. See if you want to put that peer pressure in. All right, round 3, we have a 4. That means we're still at a bull and we're up. Let's see how far we go here. Hope you're getting a little bit nervous. All right, we're up by 7, pretty good. If you could please put in the chat what your current total is at the beginning of round 4. All right, lots of 110s. All right, is anybody not 110? All right, Joyce, if you want to unmute and ask a question, you're welcome to. Oh, Dana's down at 99.
Hi, Megan. This is Joyce. I'm
Hey,
not
Joyce.
sure whether or not, because I can't see what it is that you're doing and I'm visual. So
I'm
I have
sorry.
no idea what it is that you're doing. So I'm just kind of sitting here listening.
Okay, are you able to see my screen share?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not putting the whole everything in. I'll put in for here. A lot of us are at 110 right now, so I'll do it from 110 just to see, so you can see a visual of what's going on from here. Would that help?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm in for 110. All right, next one. We have a 4, so that means we're up again. So if you were out, you just get the +1. If you were in, you get +12. And if you were in my class right now, you would either be able to see the dice or I would have dice up on the board. I just feel like we would have too many screens sharing right now. So if you started with 110 and you're up, now you're at 122. And round 5, we're at 122. Decide whether you are in and out and ready. I'm going to stay out for this one because there's been so many ups in a row. So I wonder, does that mean that a down is coming? I would tell my students no, because we would talk about the probability principles behind that. Okay, next one, we have a 4. Oh, so everyone who was still in, you now have another. Oh, this one, it was only up by 6. So I missed a little, but not very much on this one. So now I'm up at 123. Please put your current total into the chat. All right, lots of 128s. All right, I'm behind. So I'm down at 123. I'm going to be back in for this one. You decide whether you're in or out. All right, we've got a 5. Looking good for everybody. Next one, we have another 8 that we're up. So I'm going to be up to 131. Starting again at 131. All right, round 7 is when special things happen. Round 7, whatever happens with the dice, it doubles. This is a big year. Every once in a while with the stock market, there's a really big up or a really big down. This is going to be it. So this is your time to decide. Are you in or are you out? Put it in the chat, please. I'm staying out of this one. Oh man, everybody's in. Oh, not Chelsea. Okay. Lots and lots of ins here. Abigail's out. All right, so this is our double round. Oh, it's a 1. Yes. I'm so glad I stayed out. All right, so we're down. It's gonna be double whatever the dice say. All right, I have 7, so we're only down 14. That's not too bad. I was out, so I'm only gonna add 1. Please put your current total up into the chat. Let's see where everybody is. All right, 137 looks like it may be our highest. All right, for round 8, decide whether you're in or out. We only have 3 rounds left. I'm staying in. Okay, for this one, Joyce, is this making sense to you now?
I'm sorry, Megan. No, it's not, but go ahead. I'll have to go back and read it and try it on my own later.
Okay, and Joyce, part of the link has a slideshow that your students can see, and this worksheet and background information for the teachers. So it's really helpful. Once you see the whole thing, I'm going through it at lightning speed right now, but it'll definitely make more sense when you see it. All right,
Okay,
so we are down again. Let's see how far down. I have 10, 14. Ouch. So we're down another 14. Put your current total in the chat, please. All right, so with these only 2 left, decide whether you're in or out. I'm going to stay in because I'm getting close to the end. I don't have a whole lot to lose. All right, we have a 5, which is good for everyone. We're up at a bull. And we are up by 5. Oops. Wrong one there. Up by 5. That's going to be 123. Our very last one. Type whether you are in or out. Looks like most of us are in. Hopefully we'll have a nice strong finish here. All right, we have a 3, so we are all up. Let's see how up we are. All right, we have an 11. Please put your final total into the chat. Let's see who we have winning. All right. Ooh, Ryan has 139. Abigail, 142. Very nice. Impressive. All right. So if I were doing this with students along the way, I'd be talking about, well, how are you going to make your decision? Sometimes I would have them share what they're going to do. Sometimes I wouldn't, because people make different choices based on what they see their classmates doing. With in the lesson plan that goes along with this, it shares a lot of different principles. If you go down to here, there's all of this talking about different behavioral finance that goes along with investing. That's really, really good to talk with students. Today, when I played this with my 7th graders, we got a whole bunch of down in a row, and we were talking, and I told them how I've never had one with this many low all at a time. And we were able to look and see, well, in general, the market usually is up. That's why there's more things on there. And we talked about average gains and things like that. So it's a really rich activity that can really spark a lot of discussion. Also includes a lot of discussion questions there that can go along with what's there. All right. So when we're looking at the stock market, I usually start out by talking about mutual funds. And advantages to those, that you're having somebody that you're getting a big cross section of investments. It gives you a chance to diversify. It lets the experts make the picks instead of the actual investor having to do with it. But some of those benefits is you're sharing the risk. However, part of the problem is that you're going to have to pay some extra fees there. So having students learn about that. And a great way for them to do it is this an activity through next generation. Sorry, I'm tripping on my words here. This is another link that's in your list there of this excellent activity where students get to make a mutual fund, where everybody gets assigned a different company and they end up grouping together and looking at their risks and their gains and all that kind of stuff. It's a really, really fabulous activity that if we had another hour, I would have us walk our way through it. But it's really fabulous. And Next Generation Personal Finance does a fabulous job of keeping their resources really current and looking at what's happening in the world to be able to keep things as current and relevant for our students as they can possibly be. So this is a fantastic resource for doing that. Taking a look at index funds, this is where you have a collection of securities that you can follow and see what's happening on there. Also has that benefit of diversification. It's less expensive than a mutual fund because there's less maintenance on there. However, on this, there's not as much control and less flexibility on what you're going to get on there. So it's a little bit more of a steady growth for your students to understand, but it's one that has kind of its own advantages and disadvantages. One of my favorite ways to introduce individual stocks is to get students working on FinViz. And I will put a link to this into the chat. This is an amazing web page that is a really great visual. Joyce, you will like this because this is about as visual as you can get with the stock market. I'm going to put the link to this in the chat. This is showing the S&P 500 for today, very current data. And let me get to the chat here. Oh, I think it might need me to stop sharing to get onto that. Sorry, guys. All right, the link to FinViz is in the chat right now if you'd like to go ahead and open that up, and I will share my screen as well so you can see what I'm talking about. This is an amazing resource to be able to look at what's going on in the S&P 500. You can set it so that you're looking at just the S&P 500. You can look at the world. What it's showing right now is a 3-month performance of the S&P 500, and it's breaking it out into different sectors. So you can see up here, we have technology, we have communications, healthcare, all this stuff. There is so much visual information here where you can see that the bigger the company has, the bigger this square. It also is looking at the relative growth over the last 3 months. And you can see from the colors of it how well it's doing. So Google is a much brighter green than Facebook because it's having that stronger performance right now. Pulling it up will give you, hovering over any of these companies lets you see similar companies and what's going on with it. We can look at the performance just for today. Ooh, looks like market's down today. I hadn't watched the news yet, so that does not look great for today. If we're looking at from a week ago, hopefully it's looking a little bit better. There we go. Looks better from a week. The last 6 months has been very, very interesting in the stock market, and you can go further on back from there. So what I'd like you to do is we're going to take another 4 minutes or so, where I'd love for you to just kind of mess around on here. If you go to this. If you go to these controls on the left, there's all kinds of things that you can take a look at and just think about how would you use this in your classroom. And we'll put up another collaboration board in a minute here, or you can also add it into the chat if that's better for you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up that Collabboard. If you have some ideas on how you would like to use FinViz in your classroom, please throw it on up there. Some lesson ideas. Oh, excellent ideas on here. Using this as a resource for playing the stock market game, fabulous. That's what I use it for the most. Comparing stocks by category, I find that my students, when I talk about sectors, they don't completely know what I mean, but when I show it to them like this, they get it. It's still a little bit of an abstract concept for them, but it's much easier for them to see. And I agree with help students choosing stocks for the stock market game. When well, I'll talk about this more in a little bit, but when I first turn my students loose in their teams to start figuring out how to invest, I have them make sure that they're getting something from each sector, that they're spreading it all out. And I agree with seeing how the market is impacted by current events. In this last 6 months, this has been so useful for them to kind of follow along and see, well, what is making a difference? And who's making the gains and who's not. They really, they're often surprised by how that's all going. All right, so getting a little bit deeper in with the stock market game, could you please throw up in the chat, have you used the stock market game before? If you have, please throw it in there just so I know how much experience we have here. That should have been one of my early ones. Okay, lots of no's. Okay, excellent. Few yeses. All right, I've done the stock market game on and off for about the last 6 years. Some years we've done the fall or the spring game. This year, for the first time, I have my 8th graders are doing the full year-long game. So the way that the stock market game works is that students work in teams to create virtual portfolios. Usually it's best to have a group of about 4. I found that's really the sweet spot to put students in groups of 4s. 5 is a little much, and 3, they all have a lot to do, but 4 really, really works well. The students are given $100,000 in virtual money that they get to spend on different stocks and mutual funds, and they absolutely love it. They're working in real time. They're investing in real companies. It's really an empowering thing for them to be able to really look at what's happening and communicate together and use all those analytical and research skills that we're teaching in so many of their classes. The SIFMA Teacher Support Center has so many resources that are there and ready to go. They have videos, they have detailed lesson plans, they have projects, rubrics, everything that you need is already there so that you don't have to add yet another thing for yourself to create. And it's also free. They also have a partnership where they will have finance professionals either come visit your classroom when life is normal, or now they'll do it as Zoom visits. We've had, in my classroom, we've had financial planners come, we've had mutual fund managers, retirement managers. We even had one year we were paired up with Representative Sanford, and he came to my classroom and came and gave a quick impromptu lesson on compound interest. It was really, really interesting to have someone in that position there. And it's a free game. Your school gets a lot of support for it, and it's something that's really, really exciting for students. So what I'm going to show you here, just to give you that visual, this is a portfolio that one of my teams has right now. This was their portfolio last week, so I think it looks a little bit different right now. When they log in and they've started to make their trades, this is what comes up right away. They get their account summary. And so my students started with $100,000. Right now, they've only invested about $25,000 worth. So this was about about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I usually have them start out where I want them to just go ahead and get a big chunk in. So I usually start them on FinViz, and I have them work as a group to decide, okay, are you either going to invest in a lot of different sectors and do one from each one, so you're diversifying that way? Or if you think technology is the way to go, I want you to find 8 different companies in the tech sector. And they have to work it out together. They have to decide on it. I make them decide who's going to be their communication coordinator that's in charge of emailing me everything and copying the group, who's their data manager who creates a shared drive and keeps all of their spreadsheets there, who are the research directors. Like everybody has a job. And they're able to get all of these really strong numbers for them to crunch. So here it shows that they've just been in stock so far. This is the value of their long stocks. They still have quite a bit of equity that they can borrow against if they need to. And then it's also giving them tons and tons of information in there. The next one that they see is when they look at their account holdings, it gives them that strong visual of, at this point, they only had 27.7% of their portfolio invested. The rest is just sitting there as cash, which means they're not losing any money, but they're certainly not gaining any money out of that. And then they can see there, as you can see, my students go straight for things that they know, like Apple and Microsoft and Netflix. As they get a little bit deeper into it, they get a little bit more, they'll end up starting to look a little bit more into it. So as you can see, this is another group, and they still have a couple of those really familiar ones. But when we were in the stock market game in the spring, a lot of them figured out that Clorox was making really big gains as everybody was quickly trying to sanitize everything. So it's interesting to watch them start to make those connections of what's there. They get all of this data to work with, so that, and which really gives us, for a math teacher, it really gives me a lot to work with of where are they going and what can they do with all of that stuff. And so as they go through, this is an excellent way to introduce how to read a stock quote, how to chart their gains, all that kind of stuff, and really learning a lot about these particular companies. And they're so motivated to do it because it has to do with investing, and it's real and relevant to their lives. So guys, I just threw so much information at you, and I'm going to take a quick minute to just do a quick check for understanding on some of the stuff. I'm going to share my screen here with my second Kahoot because my first link here didn't work. So if you could go ahead and log into this one, we're just going to do a quick check. See if our leaders are still the same as they were the first time. I'm also going to put into the chat, here is there we go. Now I can get to it. This is the document that has a link to all of those links that I just showed you. I'll also send out the slide deck later that has lots and lots of links, but this has a ton of resources that you can use to teach all of these different things here. And I just realized I was covering up the pin for the Kahoot. I apologize for that. Get rid of that one. All right, so I will copy the game pin in as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start here though. Let's see how we can do. All right, which retirement account takes contributions after taxes? Is it a traditional IRA, a 401k, a Roth IRA, or a 529 plan? All right, very nice. Good job, good job. Who's our leader here? Tasha, very nice. Which type of retirement account is offered by an employer? We have a my IRA, 401k, Roth IRA, or an HSA. All right, very nice. The 401k. NGPF has just put out a really great quick video about 401ks and how important they are. That's a quick 5-minute one that has a Kahoot that goes along with it. Great one to use. Ooh, Tasha's still in the lead. Very nice, Tasha. Which time period is best for retirement investing in order to take full advantage of compound interest? Very nice. All right. Now, and I especially love that visual where it shows even if you just contribute in that time and don't do anything else. Oh, we have a new leader. When is the market declining, causing investors to be cautious? The bear, the bull, or the tiger? All right, very nice. I used to forget that one all the time, but bear down has stuck in my head. Tasha's back in the lead. Good job, Tasha. It's an advantage to mutual funds rather than investing in individual stocks. All right, having that diversification and professional management is a great advantage. All right, Tasha's holding on to the lead. Let's see if she can keep it for the last question. How much money does each stock market game team get to invest? All right, very nice. And every year I have a few students who think I'm really giving them that much money. And I always tell them I love them, but not that much. All right, Stephanie. And cry. Second place twice in a row. Very nice. And Tasha holding on to the lead. Good job, Tasha. All right. So
Megan, it looks like we're at about 8 o'clock, and I don't want to
yes.
accidentally hold anybody over, but
Perfect.
I'm going to throw the evaluation link in the chat, just for anybody who has to go ahead and get out of here. But we just wanted to let you know that as a reminder, teachers who attend 5 or more SE Economics hosted webinars this fall and complete these evaluations will be eligible for a $100 incentive. And as always, your time and feedback are always appreciated. So if you could go ahead and fill that out, we would really appreciate it. And then if you have any questions for Megan, you can go ahead and stay on. But Megan, we really wanted to thank you for being here and for your awesome presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. I know it was a whole lot of information, but lots of good stuff in there to go back and check out later.
It was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
And with all the thank yous, I'm going to throw that evaluation link in there a couple more times just to make sure you got it. And just as a reminder as well, we have our last webinar, I believe, is going to be next Tuesday, and I believe my dad is actually going to be doing that one. So not next Tuesday, 12/1. That's not next Tuesday. No, okay, 12/1, December 1, 2 Tuesdays from now. Thank you, Tammy. And if anybody has any last minute questions or anything like that, you can throw them in the chat as well.